Hello everyone, apologies in advance about the microphone, still waiting for the new one. Yeah, so we're doing some rank today. We're playing a range of different decks, trying Secret Mage, Thaddeus Druid, Totem Shaman's very strong. Imp Warlock, we've been going back to that. I find it a bit boring to be honest. It's very sort of like Token Druid style, but games end up playing very similarly. Evolve Shaman's a lot of fun. Because you've got my very interesting, fun to play, and very strong Fatigue Curse Warlock. Latest iteration of my Control Warlock decks. Still works very well in the meta. Just a bit slower if you want to climb. It's not the fastest climbing. Similarly to this deck we're about to play now, Rainbow Death Knight. Definitely not a fast, but a very fun deck to play. So let's get straight into it. There we go.
The Lich King versus Jaina.
You asked for it.
The past is dead.
Okay. That's a decent start. We've got the card draw early, which is nice. Won't take the Astalor. Let's either see a mage, so want to maximize our healing and things like that. Try winning with the Climactic Necrotic Explosion. Let's think, is that the best approach? Definitely keeping these two. I don't think that's one of the two corpus we need, which is 2 second one, turn 3. I guess we could keep this. It's another minion in hand early. No, let's get full on for the card draw. Card draw and hand buffs. Good, so we've got one package of very cards. Getting those minions we want to buff. So you see we've actually adjusted to the anyway. Okay.
Me have bad for you.
Let's quickly have a look at the deck while we're playing. Straightforward idea to the deck. It's basically we just got early game, just get through the early game, leg strike. Just got a few small moves which you want to generate corpses with. That's basically these things. Obviously you need to deal with early game in this meta. Then you go on to the buffs, which are like Harmonic Metal and Tusk Fallen Neophyte, which also gives you corpses, which is very, very important for this deck.
My rule is eternal.
Sorry, it spends corpses, because that's the only way you can buff up your CNE, we call it. Explosion. Since it replaces itself, you may as well just play it as it is. Because if it doesn't kill anything now, then we still can't play Diffrost, which is a bit annoying. But it's fine. Oh, perfect. So we've got a second corpse now, so we can draw 2 cards. And more importantly, sounds strange, more importantly than drawing the extra card is we spend our corpses, which buffs up this. Yeah, I think we want to start chipping away at him. We're getting low enough in the version might be using itself or play it buffed up no munch if you go straight face. So it's got a bit of a locked board here. I'm not sure if that's an issue for Mage though, but contact now. keep my coins, to be honest. Hero power. Into this. That was a bit of a misordering there, but it's fine. Just do it this way instead. Oh, okay, I'm surprised it's going to. So it worked out the same in the end. Building up some less corpses. So the key number we want are multiples of 4. So when we play Malignant Horror, hopefully a buffed horror keeps copying itself and we can keep the fuel going. It's got 4 that copies itself once. You get 8 then copy itself the following turn as well. Okay, this is good. Data and injection here. Let's see.
Here for the tour?
Nice. Thank you very much, tour guide. That's fantastic. Okay, got no drawing cards, so I guess this is a decent enough time to play this.
A will is
This you have to be a bit more careful. Do you want to give 2 minions the big buffs or 4 minions a moderate buff? Over here, big buff on this would make it harder to kill. This would make it much more powerful. That would make it that much more powerful. So I'm not sure what the best here.
Rule is
I
eternal.
don't want to leave this up in case he's.
I have but little time.
So if he decides to go Freezing Explosion, whatever it's called, we'll have to kill this off as well.
Prog Gnome Funky's real music.
That doesn't look like he's got it. Well, he picked up that objection from that book. Wow. That probably just more prismatic, yeah. Yeah. Ah, I see there. It must have been from this card, okay. Okay, nice. That's right, yeah, that's what it must have been. Okay. Guess we could go. I'm not sure here. Just need a bit more card draw just to make our hand buffing a bit more valuable.
time runs out on me.
He's playing Renathal, so he's looking for the late game as well. I can't see how we can push for lethal in the next 3 or 4 turns though. Not without some serious board, hand buffs. I think it's nice. Right, let's just do this, I guess. It's a shame to only get 1 proc of it, but in this situation, you can't really expect more. So we hold off still. No, let me just go through. At least buff up everything a bit there. The thing is, if I knew we were going to draw something like Malignant Horror next or something like that, I would just hold off. But without any card draw, nothing's guaranteed here. But now we get the Malignant Horror, but 1 turn too late, unfortunately. Do we not mind losing? Oops, I'm losing this. Alright, let's test it counter spell. Two random minions. Okay, so we'll sacrifice this.
Precision.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that works out really well. I hit the Malignant Horror, which is a big shame. That's a big shame. At least we got a massive heal now, and we've got face damage as well. Yeah, really next turn. That's scary.
I'll start this show.
This must be explosive runes. Okay. Doesn't make a difference to this card or that one. Does to that one.
Death calls.
Just take control of both presented.
Is eternal.
Keeps avoiding putting these down. This is just gonna go face big time. That's a bit unfortunate though. Should have calculated it. Should have seen that with good, very low health there. I want to go Astral and then play Astral next turn. Makes the most sense. He just keeps 1 million on board. No, he's not. It's pink. Yes, it's just the Rubian Swarm, and I really want to buff this up. This is extremely powerful. Rubian Swarm is a bit more tricky to use in this deck. Because you have to hand buff it, you can't buff it once it's on board. This you can hand buff or buff it once it's on board with Outfit Taylor. So we haven't getting much card draw. We've only got one Defrost so far. And no Chill Fallen Barons. Two of them with almost a hand of 6 minions. To play this is probably the best play. And also we want to get as many non-buff benefiting minions out of our hand as we can. This benefits from buffs, this benefits from buffs. So does this. Okay, what's this? Just okay. Buff this up, that'd be pretty good. Okay.
The citadel stands strong.
Oh. Yes, one taking a picture of this. Sure. We've got another Malignant Horror in the hand, and we've got another copy of it, so... It's so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable, this.
Frostbolt!
Oh, I guess we'll do this. One more proc from the Cubers, hopefully it won't be a big spell. So I can go Astalon or Ability. Well, low health board. Don't have much attack here. This could draw something nice. Should have 5 cards in hand next turn. Get lucky and get to zero. Oh wow. Interesting. Bit ridiculous. Only costing 5 mana that was. He's got quite a lot of armor from this as well. Ah, he's a full-on control deck. Okay, so forget it. The hand buff plus this would be very nice. Two 12-11s. 23 damage. Yeah, we've got to play this now, I think.
Death calls.
You look tasty.
Okay, manage to hand buff either of these. I can do a lot of damage. Send that one there. So we take out the potential of cleaving this way now. Up to full health. Ouch. This is scary. So he went full on. Just clear the board at all costs, yeah. Okay. We got for 9 here. Clear this. Go for 16. We'll have 23 health. So if we find 7 attack of someone, we're dead. Let's just go. No, just go out for Taylor. Really want the hand buff.
Time runs out on me.
Double on attack, so what are the other options for hand buffing here? Only on one metal. Oh, and of course you've got this as well. Which is nothing to laugh at because it's attack we need at the moment, not health.
My rule is eternal.
Oh, it's way too risky. I think we didn't have to heal up then.
You're gonna love the way you look.
Stuff his armor stuff while we're at it. Now we're gonna have a big heal. Okay. 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 It's looking good, surprisingly enough. Do we just sacrifice this just for the heal now? Be a shame. Got 28 damage. Cuts himself in half. Ironically. Then Renathal somewhere as well. He's used both keyboards, so we got through the bulk of his board presence, but now I've got to worry about spell damage.
Time runs out
Not sure how many corpses we've actually spelt here. Spent. Let's have a look. So, 12. This actually survives, funnily enough, but it's 1 health, so just ping it over here. This is extremely risky. This does 14 damage. Assuming, yeah, it should. It's very unlikely I can't kill him if I do this. Oh, of course, I've even got this. It's even better, yeah. So we have very unlucky in Augo's face.
Make no mistakes.
Oh, there you go. Okay, we did have that luck up. Woo, that was good. Okay, good bridge. Definitely the hand buff here. No, we don't. Okay, that's a really weak skateboard. In fact, we can just. Can we just do this as well? Can we get away with this? What's it? 18 damage. It go down to 13 damage because of this.
Death calls.
Is there any other way of doing this? You heal up for 15. Killing these 3. We could go face that guess afterwards.
You're gonna love the way you look.
I have but little time.
Flame strike!
Well, he sent me on one under pressure. I've got big heals still. I've got another Astalor in hand.
A smidge of this, a pinch of that.
So this is very similar sort of situation I was in against the Blood Test fight. Is that they were the aggressors, they were the ones threatening my health every time. Well, kill the Astalor there. Nice. Oh, nice. Okay, so I don't have to take damage there. Nice, and I can just simply Astalor without having to worry about much. Let's see if she's got Pyroblast in the options here. So I have to be a bit careful. This turn I just go to Hero Power. Astalor. Let's get a Defrost would be fantastic. Remember, Climatic Necrotic Explosion could be my trump card here. He doesn't have the sort of AoE to destroy like big 5-7 minions if I buff up the minions. Certainly that's roping this guy. Oh. Rewind, okay. Okay, let's just give this up just so guaranteed guys. Looking 3-3 on Flawless. We're just going to play spells and I'm going to be able to play Blue Master, blocking a spell plus this going face. Let's see what he does. Well, I thought he would use Life Sentence to get rid of this. Or one of my other big minions. I guess he wasn't thinking that far ahead. Hey, that's my name. I'm Daddy. Oh my goodness. Well, I think it's time to just heal up then. Look a spell then.
I'm 7 moves ahead of you.
Interesting.
You look
Lucky should be it. I get to heal up. But, I've still got a no muncher here, and I've got my CLIMACTIC Explosion. Ah! Ah! This is a spell, so that's a spell that's just going to discard, basically. Oh, is it? Interesting. I can actually keep this alive.
Not impressed.
To kill this, that kills that off. Now he's going to have to waste a spell for this. I really want to get some card draw here.
Predictable.
Right. Always goes own Lifesteal. Scary. Okay, I hope my necrotic explosion's been good enough here. I need harmonic metal, that's what I really need, and these two. So I need to play this and one of these, I think. Is this 30 damage? 3-8 souls? Definitely play next turn.
The citadel stands strong.
A will is done.
Not impressed.
This does 15 damage now and some 7, 5, 10 souls. So it's on 7, so every time I spend 4, what's it called? It's going to get very, very strong here. Ouch, that's annoying. So I could kill it. Kill one of them.
On cards. Out of cards.
How do we do this? I'll buff it next turn and you leave. I can't afford to wait, I think. Okay, can I afford to wait? Yeah, why not? I can wait an extra turn. Let's play this now. Play this. Hero power or even hero power, then this is to be.
Not impressed.
I have but little time.
Here for the door?
Next turn I'm going to super buff this. So I'm going to take 11. Or maybe I'll take 440. Oh no, he hasn't even got that still. Even better. Even better. This is doing 19 damage now. Shall we just play this? I want to do this first. Three 7/7s, so nothing to laugh at. Gonna get a big shock when this comes down, I think.
My powers are never.
Aha! Now I might be in trouble. 4, 5, 6, 7. One of them survived. We didn't have enough for that as well. Alright, should we do this now? Base, no, he's gonna get 10 damage to base. Not too keen on this being on board though.
My rule is eternal.
I kill this, he can still play another minion. Doesn't. Oh, I hope I'm doing it right here. Can you deal with 49, 84, 49, 84 stats? These are board freeze, I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay. Get below 6 mana, then I know you don't have a board freeze. There's no Frost Nova left, so it has to be Blizzard. Nice.
Most
Solid alibi. Wow, what a game.
wars to come.
That was really nice. You see what I mean by cutting it close there against these other control decks. And let's go. Nice. That is a board. We have the Malignant Horror, which is a self-replicating agent with Reborn.
You serve well.
Boom. There you go. Could have been bigger if the ordering of our card draw was a bit better. If we would have got a card draw earlier, then we could have got more value from things like one deck and harmonic metal could spread over a wider choice in our board. And Darkfall and Neophyte would have been much more powerful. So on my way to diamond nicely. 235 XP, wow. Yeah, we're still undefeated with it somehow. The games are very, very, very grindy. I must say, they're extremely grindy. We've got so much healing in the deck that just keeps us in the game. Against aggro, we've got those. Where is it? Got another version, which is the Big Rainbow Death Knight. I think this one's better because it's more consistent. You don't have to control your stuff much easier. Whereas the Big Rainbow Death Knight, it's a bit more clunky because you've got the extra health, which is nice, but you've got a patchwork in there, you've got an amalgam in there, extra healing potentially. You've got 2 Nubian Swarm Guards. You've got Vizier, but then you've got things like Metronome, which is a mech, which works nicely with Ziliax and also helps you with card draw a bit, but yeah, it's a bit clunky. Got 2 of these. You've even got this, give a minion in your hand, attack equal to this minion's attack, which is not amazing. It's a beast, which you can synergize with one amalgam band. Got Mosh Pit to put on your valuable minions like Ziliax and No Muncher or even Hollow Hand. They've got Mistake, we've got. Wow. Don't even have a corpse thingy. That's strange. Alright. Wonder why I did that. I've got Amalgam of the Deep. Like I said, it's just get as many different things out for the one amalgam band. We've got a totem thrown in there. We've got party animals. It's more of a. This is more of a, what do you call it? Menagerie. Big Rainbow Death Knight. Yeah, we've got the no lock there. Yes, it's a nice deck. It works as well, but this one I think is just a bit more competitive, just because it's more consistent, it's more streamlined. You're not going for those big plays. Got a similar deck here, which is a hand buff Death Knight, but obviously without the Necrotic Explosion. On a pure hand hand buff deck, this is probably better. Very powerful, but you don't have an amazing finisher, which basically can single-handedly win games as it did for me there. This basically won the whole game for me. Without this, I wouldn't have won. Okay, so looking at the deck, we've got Body Bagger, Tour Guide as early minions to start stacking up your corpses. Of course, the way that this deck works is to, besides being a hand buff deck, the idea is you're improving the stats of this spell, which is start off with its lifesteal spell. So it's deal 5 damage, summon 2 1/1 souls. So every time you spend a corpse, let's say you spend 1 corpse and randomly, you could do 6 damage, or it could be 3 1/1 souls, or 2 1/2s, or 2 2/1s. And every time you spend a corpse, then simply you're adding 1 to one of these 4 numbers, either the damage, the number of souls, the attack, or the health of each soul, or the health of each soul. So you really want to get probably the most significant number would be the summon how many souls. And once you get that to 7, then anything you add to the attack or health of the souls is going to be multiplied by 7. But it's not to anyway, but so it doesn't really make a difference. Then you've got, of course, the real thing you're looking for is that massive deal how much damage with lifesteal. As you saw there, completely saved the game for us. We healed up, we took them more than half their health away, suddenly out of nowhere. And we had all those minions on board with a very high health, which was very hard to deal with any class except for Soul Stealer from Blood Death Knight. Any other class would find it almost impossible to clear such a board. Mage is the one class which could still win from that position due to Blizzard and board freezes and solid alibi, making them immune to massive damage from the turn. But besides that, once you play this, it's almost definitely going to be game over. Let's look at the actual way that we actually buff this. That's by spending corpses. So we spend corpses by primarily Malignant Horror. That's the main one because it spends 4 corpses and it copies itself. So once you buff this up to like a 6/6 or 6/8 or something like that, and then it copies itself, then people are going to want to kill both copies very quickly, which gives you an extra 2 corpses just start off the bat. And often if you play this later on in the game, you'll have like about 12 or 16 corpses. So this keeps replicating itself, and if you keep the opponent busy with taunt minions like Ziliax and no Muncher, they might not even be able to kill the Malignant Horror, and it will just copy itself in the reborn form, which is just really hard to deal with. Okay, how else do we spend corpses? Dump for Neophyte, spend 2 corpses to get all your minions in your hand to attack, which is really powerful because a lot of our minions, this is why I think this deck is so strong at surviving, is because it doesn't give health, but that's not what we need for survival. For survival, we really need the attack. So the Ziliax does 2 more attack, and 4 more attack once it's listed to land. She'll probably have to be attacked into again. Even though there are plenty of spells which can get rid of it, but yeah, either way, no Muncher, more attack, which can go face if you're lucky. I rarely get to go face with no Muncher because we're usually playing slightly from behind, so there'll always be an opponent's minion on the board. And then Hollow Hand, of course, if you add 2 attack to this, becomes a cleave with 5, which means you're healing up instead of 9, you're healing for 15. And you're clearing some big minions, like we did in the last game. We cleared all his elementals with the Hollow Hand. We didn't do it by buffing this up, but we did it with another key card we're going to look at in a minute, which is Outfit Tailor. Okay, so therefore we've got Dark Fallen Neophyte, whereas it? Malignant Horror, and also we've got a very, very key card here, Defrost. So this draws a card and 2 corpses to draw another. Now, card draw is so important in this deck. I would basically, for the mulligan, I would always keep something like Defrost and Chillfall and Baron, because you want to get as many minions as in your hand to start buffing. So for the mulligans, I have to keep Bodybagger, Tour Guide, Defrost, Plague Strike. You can think about Plague Strike if you think you know you're facing a slow deck, then maybe not bother with Plague Strike and Chillfall and Baron, because these cards will draw you cards, get you a nice fat full hand. You're not going to be playing more than 1 or 2 cards per turn, so this will pump you up to like 7 or 8 cards in hand, and it will keep it there. We don't have anything which gives you stuff in hand, so we will be running out of cards eventually. So therefore we have to be a bit clever how you do things. But we've got a refill with Photographer Fizzle. If you get it on the Climactic Necrotic Explosion, that's amazing. And as you saw in the game, this actually copies the buffed version. So the snapshot, let's say you had a massive 12-11 no muncher, like we did in that game. Then you play the photograph, the snapshot, you'll get the ready to go massive no muncher, or Hollow Hand, or any other nice big cards which we've buffed up already. So this is a really good card for this deck, and I feel that this has been really pushing the win rate, so that's why I'm still 6-0 with this deck. I think this is such a underestimated card in these long drawn out matchups. It just gives you that little bit more healing. When I say a little bit more healing, like 20 more healing and 30 more healing, but compared to this could easily heal for 60-70 health. The sorts of minions I've got in this deck easily. That gives you that little bit more against the very, very attrition-y decks. So you can copy this and, just be to work. Be creative with it, be innovative, and adapt to the situation. Decide what you think is good to copy. Right, Astalor is a very nice card, especially if you get it copied with Fizzle like we did that game. It's also another win condition in itself, or board swing type thing. Right, so harmonic meta, right? How do we buff up our minions? And the important part of this is not just spending corpses, but also buffing up our minions. And we buff it up with 3 cards. That's a Darkfall Neophyte. This is for the hand buffs. Harmonic Metal. So you can either give a decent sort of more temporary for random minions in your hand 2/2, which is nice if you want to get your minions out one after the other. It's decent, it's nice. If you want to have some big power plays, then you go for Dissonant Metal, which gives you 2 minions in your hand 4/4, which is what we wanted to do at the end to make our Malignant Horrors become instead of 2. They could have been 4/6s, but wanted them to be 6/8s. And the Rubian Swarm card, if you're going to buff this, it has to be in hand, because as soon as you play it, it's a battle cry. You can't buff it once it's on board. So, for example, in that game, we had 3 5/7s with the Swarm card, which stopped his Astalor play and made it very awkward for him to try dealing with it, try killing the minion. with all three of them. Right. So we've got Dogfall Neophyte, gives attack to everything and spends corpses. So it's another dual purpose card. Harmonic Metal, and we've also got Overlord Renathal. I can't believe this is still in the meta. Such an old card there, and how it feels. Yes, it's over 2 years old, this card. And yeah, this attacks. It gives 1/1 to all minions in your hand, and if you're lucky playing against the right classes, it's going to attack a second time. If you've buffed this up, if you've let's say put a dissonant metal on it, then this is actually a 7/10 minion, and it can probably survive 2 or 3 turns, which is going to buff up your whole hand. And every single card which you've got in hand, which can be buffed, i.e. minions, going to get exponentially more value the higher the health of this is, because it's going to be able to be attacking and buffing more, which is, as I said, this is why card draw is so important for this deck. So Renathal gets much more value if you've got 8 cards in hand as opposed to 5. Right, and we've got another very important card, which is Outfit Tailor, because this is going to get buffed up with Renathal, Darkfall Neophyte, and Harmonic Metal very often, which means this might be like a 6/5 or something quite easily. Then you can play something like Hollow Hound and give a friendly minion attack and health equal to this minion's. So you're going to give a Hollow Hound 6/5 or something, or you can give a Zilliax or a No Munch a 6/5. We can even give you a Carney 6/5 to make it very hard to deal with. So that's another way you can buff minions. Right, usually if you're not under pressure, you really want to put this on Malignant Horror. That's the last piece of advice I can give for this deck. Outfit Tailor, whatever stats you've got on it, it's going to make Malignant Horror very, very big. And hopefully if you buffed this up already, let's say there's a 6/6 already, and then you put a 4/6 on there, then you suddenly got a 10/12 Malignant Horror with Reborn, and it copies itself of 4 corpses, and of course every time it copies itself it gives this, so the bigger it is, the more likely it is to survive, which is the more likely it is to spend the corpses to replicate itself, which means you get a bigger climactic necrotic explosion, which makes this deck so beautifully synergistic. Everything in this deck kind of helps the rest of the deck. Is such a very, very harmonious deck, except for this one. It's a very dissonant deck if you've got dissonant metal, but excuse the silly joke. Okay, Blade Master Economy, that's just, we get a big one of them, play it, and you can really disrupt them like we did in that game. We had a taunt up, they couldn't touch our economy, so they had to basically waste a very valuable spell, which I'm sure Mage does not want to do. Okay, anything else about this deck? No, I think we spoke about it in the other video. This is a slightly different version. I think it's a slightly different version. I have to double check if it's the same one. But in case it didn't, this is you got to see the whole game there. And hopefully you've got the idea of how you're going to play the game. Against aggro, we would be doing similar things because they were being the aggressor this game. So this is how most games would go. You're playing from behind, you're surviving, buffing up your healing cards, occasionally throwing one out just to heal, just to stay alive, and clearing their board, making them have to rebuild their board from scratch. As long as they don't have like an OTK or anything like that, you should be able to pace yourself until you eventually buff this up so much you get to the end of your deck and boom goes face, and you get like an unanswerable board, hopefully. Anyway, thanks for watching everyone. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.